Şebnem Düzgün hocam, are you around?
Yeah, I'm here, hocam. Thank you. Today I will be talking about the politics of dark humor in Virginia Woolf's Orlando. Virginia Woolf's Orlando, which was published in 1928, is a novel with dark humor investigating gender issue from socio-political perspectives. Sarcastic humor is employed in the depiction of women's experiences in patriarchal society through the case of Orlando, the main character who is transformed into a woman. The use of dark humor in turn enables Woolf to demonstrate that gender roles are imposed by socio-political institutions that reinforce men's superiority. The aim of this study is to show that Woolf uses dark humor as a socio-political instrument to question conventional gender norms. Humor is seen as a means of survival and escape in periods of disorder and tension, and also a sign of everyday resistance. It has a political meaning as it is employed to discuss issues associated with race, ethnicity, and gender. Dark humor or black humor is a concept used to mean humor which is grotesque, ironic, satirical, and absurd. It blurs conventional and accepted values and draws from its readers an ambivalent laugh, alternating between laughter and tears, emphasizing the tragic and nonsensical side of the human condition. Patrick O'Neill, who in the early 1980s examined dark humor in literary works, uses the term black humor, which is viewed as a pejorative nowadays by some scholars, since there is the obvious possibility of linguistic confusion between black humor and ethnically black literature. O'Neill claimed that dark humor allows us to see the meaningless and ridiculous side of human life through laughter rather than despair. Likewise, the New Columbia Encyclopedia, printed in 1975, defines the genre as grotesque or morbid humor, used to express the absurdity, insensitivity, paradox, and cruelty of the modern world, referring to the works of American writers who wrote in the 1960s, like Stanley Kubrick and Kurt Vonnegut. However, the term humor noir, the French equivalent, is used by André Breton, a French anthologist, to refer to European literature since 1700 to include 45 different authors in all, including Swift, De Quincey, Poe, Lewis Carroll, Nietzsche, Kafka, and Salvador Dali. Breton claims that dark humor includes such elements as skeptical sarcasm and light-hearted jokes to subvert and challenge conventional values and systems. Virginia Woolf uses dark humor in Orlando to question the conventional gender norms of English society, particularly Victorian society, since it was written at a time of transition from the Victorian era. In order to maintain male authority, the patriarchal ideology of the Victorian era subjugated women to men, restricting their socio-political rights. Women were deprived of full suffrage till 1928, and they also had limited rights related to property, custody, divorce, access to higher education, and participation to public life. Men were regarded as beings who belonged in the public sphere, while women were supposed to remain in the domestic sphere as representatives of morality. Furthermore, it was women's responsibility to look after their husbands and children and carry out household chores. Women were also regarded as inferior to men, both mentally and physically. As a result, professions that demanded physical and mental strength were considered suitable for men, and women from the lower classes could only work in poorly paid jobs such as factory work, domestic service, or dressmaking. In Orlando, Woolf challenges the traditional gender roles assigned by social political authorities by mingling humor with sarcasm. Orlando, the eponymous character who is magically transformed from a man into a woman, reveals the restrictions and problems encountered by women, especially in socio-economic arena. For instance, she complains about the dress code imposed by patriarchal English society in a humorous way. Quote, "Lord," Orlando told, "these skirts are plaguey things to have about one's heels. Could I, however, leap overboard and swim in clothes like this? No," unquote. Orlando's struggle with women's long dresses seems funny, but the funny scene conceals dark humor beneath, as Orlando reveals how women are restricted by uncomfortable, plaguey clothes, covering their bodies, which do not allow them to easily perform such physical activities as swimming. She becomes aware of the fact that women are restricted not only by their clothes, but also by the patriarchal ideology that depicts women as pure, chaste, and obedient. Orlando, as a woman, realizes the imposed nature of gender codes and claims that women are not obedient, chaste, scented, and exquisitely apparelled by nature. Her criticism again is mixed with humor because she criticizes traditional roles of the female sex, referring to her daily routine to fit into the conventional image of a woman in an amusing way. Quote, "There is the hairdressing," she thought, "that alone will take an hour of my morning. There is looking in the looking glass another hour. There is staying and lacing. There is washing and powdering. There is changing from silk to lace. There is being chased year in, year out." Unquote. Orlando provides the funny yet a sarcastic picture of her routine to show how women are forced to indulge in exhausting and mundane daily tasks to enhance their beauty and preserve their image as a pure creature. She believes that women are deliberately encouraged to care about their appearance and purity by patriarchal society, and they are condemned to a life of poverty and ignorance. She believes that, in this way, females are kept away from performing intellectual activities or studying and working to earn their own money. She also adds that the main reason for this policy is that men do not want women to share their men's desires like social political power or the desire for the rule and discipline of the world. Moreover, Orlando displays the formalities attributed to male and female sexes in a sarcastic way while depicting a scene between her and her male suitor. Quote, "Orlando sipped the wine, and the Archduke knelt and kissed her hand. In short, they acted the parts of men and women for 10 minutes with great vigor, and then fell into natural discourse." Unquote. Orlando shows how the manners and speeches of men and women are restricted by patriarchal ideology that creates a dichotomous relationship between the sexes. As such, she concludes that gender roles are like clothes that are created and man-made to conceal, cover, and reshape natural human bodies. Quote, "Thus, there is much to support the view that it is clothes that wear us, not we them. We may make them take the mold of arm and breast, but they mold our hearts, our brains, our tongues to their liking. Clothes are but a symbol of something hid deep beneath. In every human being, a vacillation from one sex to the other takes place, and often it is only the clothes that keep the male or female likeness, while underneath, the sex is the very opposite of what it is above." Unquote. Using clothes as symbol for the rules of male-dominated society, she emphasizes the fact that men and women act the roles imposed by patriarchy, and they cannot have the opportunity to reveal their true selves, ideals, and emotions. In this way, Orlando challenges the patriarchal paradigm that draws a clear line between male and female identities by referring to her own personal case. She, who has a body of a woman and a mind of a man, shows how there was mixture in her of men and women. She defies the dichotomies created between female and male qualities in an amusing overtone by claiming that although she is excessively tender-hearted and could not endure to see a donkey beaten or a kitten wronged, she is bold and active as a man. Therefore, she feels estranged in the Victorian period, which was characterized by strict gender roles and stereotypical images that women and men should abide by. Since in the Victorian era, women were supposed to marry and take care of their husbands and children, as a single woman, Orlando appears to be an anomaly. Her estrangement is displayed with the use of dark humor. Quote, "Poor Orlando felt positively ashamed of the second finger of her left hand without in the least knowing why. Heaven help us," said Orlando. "What a world we live in! What a world, to be sure!" Its complexities amazed her. It now seemed to her that the whole world was ringed with gold. She went into dinner, wedding rings abounded. She went to church, wedding rings were everywhere. She drew what? Gold. Thin, thick, plain, smooth, they glowed duly on every hand. Unquote. Portraying a world ringed with gold in a humorous and sarcastic way, Orlando displays the restricting gender roles of the Victorian society, that encourages marriage and forces women to marry and remain in the domestic sphere as selfless figures. She also questions the social norms that draw clear-cut boundaries between masculine and feminine qualities. Although Orlando mingles female and masculine qualities in herself, still patriarchal society judges her as a woman who is supposed to be inferior to the male sex. Therefore, when she earns a prize for her poem entitled The Oak Tree, which she was working on for several ages, her success is ignored by male-dominated society that remains indifferent to the success of women. The tragic fact is pointed out in a humorous way with a sarcastic tone to show the injustice done to accomplished and brilliant women. Quote, "Fame, she loved fame. 7 editions, a prize, photographs in the evening papers, to dine, to meet, to dine, fame, fame. She had here to slow down to pass through the crowd of market people, but no one noticed her. A porpoise in a fishmonger's shop attracted far more attention than a lady who had won a prize and might, had she chosen, have worn 3 coronets, one on top of another, on her brow." Unquote. Orlando criticizes the fact that her accomplishments goes unnoticed by the public, as the female sex was not considered to have the intellectual power to achieve great things like men who were related to logic, reason, and power. To conclude, Virginia Woolf employs dark humor as a socio-political means to display the illusionary and restrictive nature of gender norms produced by patriarchal society. Revealing the case of Orlando, an androgynous character that merges female and male characteristics in herself, Woolf uses a bitter humor to help her readers to perceive the absurdity of traditional gender norms that create a rigid, hierarchical, and dichotomous relationship between men and women. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Şebnem Hocam.